Hello friends, Archangel with CryptoAngel here. I'd like to take a few minutes to discuss the billion-dollar decline in the TVL, or total value locked, on ShibaSwap, as well as the Binance announcement and what the implications are of that. So I do think they go hand in hand, and a lot, well, I won't say a lot, but there's several community members that are, for lack of a better term, freaking out because of the drop of TVL, as well as thinking that the launch of staking on the Binance platform is a bad thing for ShibaSwap. So I want to go through my interpretation of what those two things mean and why they were spaced out the way they were, and we'll just go ahead and dive in here. So we can see that the TVL on ShibaSwap is 395 million currently, and if we jump over to the analytics dashboard, we see that 395 million in liquidity. Now, this steep decline here is what has people concerned. So we've gone from $1.3 billion yesterday to $395 million today. Where did that $1 billion go? And again, the liquidity event ended yesterday. And if we click down here to the puppies, we sort by liquidity USD lost, we can see our pairs that have been moved out to other platforms. So these pairs here were brought in specifically to harvest from the liquidity event, and you can see the impact that they had when they left. So while TVL is a nice kind of feather in your cap, so to speak, it's not the be all end all of a swap. The daily volume is probably the more important number. Now, again, I'm new to cryptocurrency as well, but I can definitely see where the daily volume can come in and be more beneficial than the TVL as a health indicator. And again, the TVL will be growing, and I think you'll see why in a minute. So with our daily volume today, we're still sitting at 50 million in total volume, and the day's not over yet. Don't worry about this graph bar not being updated quite correctly. It'll level out here, but we can see that, you know, we're not far off from pre-liquidity event numbers. And so with that 50 million, we're definitely in line. So we'll see where that levels out after the liquidity event, but I don't think it's going to fall terribly too much. Now, one of the things I want to address is the Binance announcement. Why now? Why did this just get announced now? So if you think whales impacted ShibaSwap this much by withdrawing funds from the liquidity event, and not only withdrawing total value liquidity locked from the event, but also harvesting a bunch of bone production. Imagine if any of the centralized exchanges had been a part of the liquidity event, and what that would have meant for you as a retail investor, or as a small fish in the pond that would have sucked up most of the bone production and left you with nothing. So I think the reason these centralized exchanges were locked out for the first 2 weeks, and the reason Binance is the first one being allowed in, is because of this type of scenario here. It would have been multiple times worse than these numbers here. Now, the Binance announcement is pretty interesting, and I'll tell you why I think that's a good thing. So we see that investors can enjoy up to 33.12% APY. Well, you come down here and look at the terms and say, well, gosh, Angel, that's just 30 million SHIB. I can't do anything with that. And yes, while it only is about $200 USD, stop and think about what this means for third world countries around the world, what this means for unbanked populations around the world that have access to a smartphone, have access to a charger, but don't have access to a bank, or have access to a smartphone and they can't carry their money around with them because they will get mugged or robbed or whatever, or bribed out of their funds. So with this type of situation, you've got a decentralized exchange like ShibaSwap and the developers there setting terms with a centralized exchange. I'm not sure, like I said, I'm new to crypto. I'm not sure if this has ever been done before. However, you have a decentralized exchange setting terms and conditions with a centralized exchange. To me, that's just amazing. It's the community speaking out and saying, we are not going to do business with you unless you pass on rewards to the people who are utilizing your services. And you can't just suck up all the rewards for yourself and give them pennies on the dollar. So while this chart does look small, that 200 USD for a third world country, not only are you giving them a 33% interest rate on 30 million SHIB or 200 USD, which can be a lot of money, you also are giving them a hedge against their currency being devalued 20, 30, 40% every year in an inflationary economy in a lot of these other countries. Right now, I mean, one of the reasons I got into crypto was because of the money printing in the United States. Now, often we don't think about what our money printing does to other currencies that are either tangentially dependent or directly pegged to the US dollar. So if we're devaluing our currency at the rate that we're going right now, we're also devaluing the currency of third world nations. And that 40% devaluing is happening right now in multiple nations. So the fact that you're giving somebody a hedge against that devaluation of their currency plus a 33% interest rate. And again, these other interest rates are not bad. This is going to generate a lot more than your standard savings account. But this right here, really, you can see the vision and the plan of the creators and developers of ShibaSwap. This is truly a platform for the people. So Binance, by doing this, has gotten themselves whitelisted and kind of signed off by the developers. And this plays back into, not only is this going to help the people around the world that are unbanked, but this is also going to help ShibaSwap. And why is that? Because once Binance jumps in here and starts building up their staking pool to get the rewards to offset what they're paying out here, this TVL is going to rise significantly. So, and again, this is just my opinion. I'm not hearing this from anybody else. I'm not a financial advisor. So don't take my word as gospel, but I'm just telling you my opinion. This TVL is going to rise significantly as we get more centralized exchanges on this whitelist concept. And I just want to go back to the Certec AMA real quick. And so you can see what Satoshi says here and why this vision is so important. He says, some exchanges have large wallets. We've also seen some weird stuff happen with an exchange not worth naming here, so we came up with a GER list. This feature allows us to blacklist a wallet if need be. This means that an exchange can't stake your tokens and get rewards you should get. That being said, we have a surprise for the army. We've been in discussion with multiple exchanges to do the exact opposite, a whitelist, so to speak, so that exchanges can stake their SHIB or leash and get rewards to give directly to holders without them needing to remove their tokens. So that again is an amazing vision. So not only did we not get impacted by centralized exchanges coming into the swap for the liquidity event and withdrawing, we could have gone up to, $2 or $3 billion with centralized exchanges jumping into the liquidity event. And then imagine that percentage getting sucked out after. Not only was that blocked off, not only were terms set with centralized exchanges that I don't think has ever been done before, but we also now have the ability for, and that vision for unbanked populations around the world to get an way above average return on investment, as well as hedging against deflation. And the benefit to ShibaSwap is that their entire customer base, Binance's entire customer base, is being exposed to Shiba and giving an incentive to purchase Shiba on Binance. And while this may not mean much in the US or the UK or whatever, this means a lot around the world. So I just want to leave you with that and give you some items to think about and just the vision behind ShibaSwap. I think we're going to see some other exchanges coming up with models similar. I mean, anytime you have a model like this that has this many options and all of the various types of promotions, that exchange has put a lot of time and effort into trying to keep as much as they can while giving as much as possible that's acceptable to be whitelisted. But again, I still can't get over the fact that we have a decentralized exchange setting terms for a centralized exchange to utilize their swap and stake funds. So again, I hope that information is helpful to you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. With that, Archangel out.